How do we want to live as a society?
From my perspective, I've always felt an urge to understand the big picture. It's only something that you can get if you are a researcher, if you are a scientist, if you ask big questions. I am Professor Ron Hirschl, and I study comparative constitutionalism.
Anyone who wants to understand the idea behind the Canadian Constitution needs to hit the street. Canada is a country of immigrants, and every second resident in this large multicultural city is foreign-born.
So we are in Toronto's Chinatown neighborhood, and it's one of the many diverse neighborhoods that Toronto and Canada in general have. And it has to do a lot with constitutional law in this country.
In 1982, Canada radically overhauled its constitution, bilingualism, cultural pluralism. With this reform, Canada consciously crafted a liberal societal self-image.
In a way, Canada is a bit like Galapagos Island for Charles Darwin. So by looking at all the constitutional transformations that Canada has seen over the last 35 years, you can get a sense of much broader processes on a global scale.
Hirschl, who was born in Tel Aviv and completed his PhD at Yale University, has been living here with his family and conducting research for the last 17 years, during which he also held visiting positions at Harvard, Stanford, and NYU. He is one of the world's leading researchers on the interrelationships between constitutions, democracy, and societal development.
Old notion of everything political is for politics and everything legal is for law no longer holds true. So in order to understand the political reality out there, we must understand the interrelations between the two fields.
Political decisions on fundamental societal questions have now become constitutional questions, a juridification of politics.
So courts throughout the world are now called upon almost on a daily or weekly basis to decide questions that up until 30 or 40 years ago were left to the political sphere to decide.
In the 1950s, about 30% of all constitutions in the world saw a direct possibility for constitutional courts to review legislation. In 2011, this rate reached 80% and is estimated at 90% today. A shift with consequences. Constitutional questions are not discussed in a vacuum. They are influenced by national agendas and political pressure. Hirschl is researching precisely this interdependency.
The constitutional sphere itself has become an arena of political struggle. We've seen this in the United States, for example, where every appointment to the Supreme Court, every new nomination of a new justice to the Supreme Court has become a major, almost nationwide political battle, whether it would be a more conservative judge, a more liberal justice, Republican, Democrat, and so on. We've seen tremendous constitutional wars, so to speak, taking place around the world precisely because politicians, political elites, political parties begin to understand the significance of political control over the constitutional arena.